My husband said, "This night will change our lives forever." He was right, because the man sitting at our dinner table was the same man I ran from 5 years ago. Now he's a billionaire CEO. He just bought my husband's company, and he didn't do it for business. He did it for me. I rejected him once, publicly, humiliated him. Tonight he smiled at my husband and threatened to destroy everything we built. By morning, our security system was disabled, and he was inside my house. This isn't a love story. It's the story of how I trapped the most powerful man in the room before he destroyed my life. Los Angeles has a way of convincing you that you've made it. In the mornings, sunlight pours through our floor-to-ceiling windows like liquid gold, stretching across the polished marble floors and climbing the white walls of our Beverly Hills home. From the balcony, I can see the faint outline of palm trees swaying against a powder blue sky. Even the air feels expensive here, warm, soft, scented faintly with jasmine from the garden below. I used to think happiness would feel louder. Fireworks, champagne popping. But the truth is, it feels quiet, like the low hum of our espresso machine at 7 a.m., the gentle rustle of Julian's suit jacket as he slips it on, the subtle click of his cufflinks while I stand behind him, adjusting his collar in the mirror. "You're staring," he teased that morning, catching my reflection. "I'm admiring," I replied, smoothing the silk lapel. "There's a difference." Julian smiled in that effortless way that made people trust him instantly. He had the kind of face investors believed in, sharp jawline, calm eyes, a presence that filled a room without ever raising his voice. At 30, he was already being called the future of West Coast finance. I'd overheard it once at a charity gala, whispered between two older executives sipping scotch, and tonight was supposed to seal it. A multi-million-dollar merger, months of negotiations, endless calls that stretched past midnight. Julian had barely slept this week, but he carried the exhaustion like a badge of honor. "This night will change our lives forever," he said as he poured his coffee, voice steady but eyes burning with ambition. I laughed lightly. "Our lives are already pretty changed." He walked over, cupped my face gently, and pressed his forehead against mine. "No, this is different. After tonight, I won't just be the rising partner. I'll be indispensable." I believed him. That was the dangerous part. By noon, the house was in motion. The private chef arrived first, bringing crates of fresh seafood and herbs that filled the kitchen with the scent of lemon and rosemary. 2 assistants polished the silverware until it reflected like mirrors. I supervised the table setting myself, bone china, crystal glasses, linen napkins folded just right. I chose a midnight blue silk dress for the evening. Elegant but understated, Julian had asked for graceful, something that would signal confidence without distraction. I pinned my hair back loosely, letting a few strands fall around my face. My reflection looked composed. It didn't look like someone who had once run across the country to escape a man. 5 years ago felt like another lifetime, another city, another version of me. Back then, I'd been younger, naive, flattered by attention that turned suffocating too quickly. I shook the thought away as I applied lipstick. That chapter was closed. It had to be. By 7, the sky had turned a deep amber. Candles flickered along the dining table. The city lights glittered below us like a second galaxy. Julian adjusted his watch for the 3rd time in 5 minutes. "Relax," I whispered. He exhaled. "He's not just any CEO. Elena, Sebastian Laurent built his empire from nothing. He's ruthless, but he respects strength. If he likes me, if he trusts me, this merger goes through." The name hit me like cold water. Sebastian. It was common enough. A coincidence, surely. My chest tightened anyway. Before I could respond, the doorbell rang. The sound echoed through the house, sharp, final. Julian straightened his tie. "Showtime?" I followed him to the door, my heels clicking softly against the marble. Each step felt heavier than the last, though I didn't yet know why. Julian opened the door with a confident smile, and the world tilted. There he was, Sebastian Laurent, 5 years older, 5 years sharper. His dark hair was trimmed precisely. A few subtle streaks of gray at the temples that made him look even more distinguished. His tailored charcoal suit fit like armor, but his eyes, those hadn't changed. Cold, assessing, possessive. "Elena," my mind whispered, though my lips did not move. Julian extended his hand. "Mr. Laurent, welcome. It's an honor." Sebastian's gaze flicked to Julian briefly, polite and professional. They shook hands firmly. "Please," Sebastian said smoothly. Call me Sebastian." His voice was exactly as I remembered. Low, controlled, the kind that never needed to shout. Then his eyes shifted to me and stayed there. "And this must be your wife," he said. My throat went dry. Julian beamed. "Yes, this is Elena." For half a second, just half, Sebastian's expression changed. A flicker of something dark and satisfied passed through his gaze, but it vanished so quickly Julian would never have noticed. "Mrs. Hart," Sebastian said, extending his hand toward me. I forced mine into his. His grip was warm, familiar, firm enough to remind me he could tighten it if he wanted. "A pleasure," he murmured. His thumb brushed slightly against my knuckles before releasing. It wasn't an accident. I felt it in my bones. Dinner began with laughter. Sebastian was charming, effortlessly so. He complimented the house, praised Julian's strategic insight, even asked thoughtful questions about the art hanging in our living room. "I've always admired ambition," he said, swirling his wine. "It separates the dreamers from the rulers." Julian leaned forward eagerly. "Exactly. That's what this merger represents." I watched them talk numbers, percentages, projections, expansion plans across Europe and Asia. The figures were dizzying. Lives would change because of this deal. Our life would change. But every time I glanced up, Sebastian was already looking at me. Not casually, intently, like he was measuring something invisible. "You have exquisite taste, Elena," he said at one point, gesturing around the dining room. "This home reflects refinement." "Thank you," I managed, keeping my voice steady. His lips curved slightly. "Refinement is rare." Julian laughed. "She's the reason this place feels like a home." "I just signed the checks." Sebastian's eyes darkened almost imperceptibly. "How fortunate you are," he said softly. The words sounded like a compliment. They felt like a warning. Flashbacks don't announce themselves. They slip in quietly. A rooftop in New York. Wind tangling my hair as Sebastian stood too close. "I can give you everything," he'd said back then. "Security, power, a life people would envy." "I don't love you," I'd replied, my voice trembling but firm. His jaw had tightened. "Love is irrelevant. You'll learn." I left 2 weeks later, changed my number, moved to California, started over, and now he was sitting at my dining table, discussing my husband's future like a chess piece. I wondered if Julian could feel it, the subtle shift in air pressure whenever Sebastian's attention drifted toward me. The way his compliments carried an undercurrent only I could hear. "Elena," Sebastian said suddenly, pulling me back to the present. "Do you ever miss New York?" Julian looked surprised. "You lived in New York?" "For a while," I answered quickly. Sebastian's gaze held mine. "It's a city that leaves impressions." My pulse pounded in my ears. "Yes," I said carefully. "It does." Silence lingered a fraction too long. Then Julian cleared his throat, diving back into business strategy, oblivious to the silent war unfolding inches from him. By dessert, I felt like I'd run a marathon. Sebastian hadn't slipped once. Not a single acknowledgement of our past. Not even a hint that he knew me beyond this evening. But his eyes told a different story. Ownership, patience, calculation, as Julian enthusiastically outlined his 5-year expansion vision. Sebastian leaned back in his chair, studying me instead. "You've built something beautiful here," he said quietly, almost to himself. I couldn't tell if he meant the house or my life. Julian raised his glass. "To new beginnings." Sebastian lifted his slowly, gaze never leaving mine. "To destiny," he corrected. The word wrapped around my throat like silk pulled too tight. I forced a smile and clinked my glass against theirs. Crystal chimed softly in the candlelight. From the outside, we were 3 sophisticated adults sharing a promising evening in Los Angeles. But beneath the polished surface, something ancient and dangerous had just reawakened. And as Sebastian's eyes held mine across the flickering flames, I realized something with chilling clarity. This merger wasn't the only thing he had come to claim. The front door closed with a soft, elegant click. Sebastian's car engine faded down the quiet Beverly Hills street, smooth and controlled, just like him. For a few seconds, I stood frozen in the entryway, staring at my own faint reflection in the glass. My face looked calm, too calm. Behind me, Julian exhaled sharply, the kind of breath a man releases after stepping off a tightrope. "That," he said, loosening his tie, "went better than I could have imagined." I turned slowly. "Did it?" He grinned, walking toward the kitchen. Elena, he practically confirmed it. The board vote is a formality. Once we finalize in New York, it's done. Finalize in New York. The words echoed strangely in my chest. Julian disappeared into the kitchen. I followed. The smell of extinguished candles and expensive wine hanging in the air. My heels clicked against marble again, but now the sound felt too sharp. Too loud. Julian grabbed the bottle. Let's celebrate properly. Before I could respond, there was a knock. Not the doorbell. A knock. 3 deliberate taps against the half-open patio doors leading to the garden. My blood ran cold. Julian frowned. Did someone forget something? He moved toward the sound, but I was faster. I'll check, I said quickly. Too quickly. I stepped outside. The night air wrapped around me, cool and deceptively peaceful. The city lights blinked below like nothing in the world could possibly be wrong. Sebastian stood near the edge of the terrace, hands in his pockets, posture relaxed. Waiting, my heart slammed against my ribs. You forgot something? I asked, forcing my voice into something steady. His eyes traveled over me slowly, deliberately. Yes, Julian's silhouette moved inside, distracted by the wine glasses. Sebastian stepped closer, close enough that I could smell his cologne, dark cedarwood and something sharper beneath it. You look thinner, he said quietly. California suits you. Leave, I whispered. A faint smile curved his mouth. 5 years, Elena. 5 years you thought distance would erase me. My throat tightened. Julian will be back any second. Yes, he said calmly. Your husband, the rising star. There was something venomous in the way he said it. You should go, I insisted. He leaned slightly closer, voice lowering. I bought his company because of you. The world seemed to tilt again. What? My voice cracked despite my effort. The merger? He continued smoothly. It was never about expansion. It was about acquisition. A slow, deliberate pause. You. My stomach dropped so violently I thought I might faint. You're lying, I breathed. Am I? His head tilted. I saw his name on a pitch report months ago. Investigated. Imagine my surprise when I saw the wedding photo attached to his executive profile. My wedding photo. The one framed in Julian's office. You moved across the country to escape me, Sebastian said softly. I simply followed opportunity. You're insane! No, his eyes hardened. I'm patient. Inside, I heard Julian laugh to himself at something on his phone. Sebastian's gaze flicked toward the house. You will spend time with me, he said, his tone shifting, no longer charming, no longer polite. Just controlled steel, discreetly, quietly. I stared at him. And if I don't? His jaw flexed slightly. I withdraw funding. I expose weaknesses in the deal. I let the market tear him apart. Bankruptcy is a very fragile thing. Elena, one whisper from me and investors scatter. My breath came in shallow pulls. You wouldn't. Try me. His eyes softened then, disturbingly so. You rejected me once, he murmured. I was young. I allowed emotion to cloud my judgment. But now I understand leverage. You're destroying innocent people. He leaned closer, his voice barely audible. I'm offering you a choice. Footsteps approached from inside. Sebastian stepped back instantly, his expression transforming into polished professionalism. Julian slid the patio door open. There you are. I thought you'd left. Sebastian smiled easily. I realized I hadn't thanked your wife properly for the exquisite dinner. Julian laughed. She's the real executive here. If only he knew. Sebastian extended his hand again. This time, his grip tightened just enough to hurt. Good night, Elena. The words felt like a promise. Then he walked away. I didn't sleep. Julian did, peacefully, breathing slow and steady beside me. I lay on my back, staring at the ceiling, replaying every word. I bought his company because of you. At 2:17 a.m., my phone buzzed. Unknown number. My chest seized. A photo. Taken from across the street. Our house. Bedroom lights glowing faintly through the curtains. My hands started to tremble. Another message. Zoomed in. Me, standing on the balcony earlier that evening in my blue dress. My pulse roared in my ears. Then text. You look beautiful when you're unaware. My throat went dry. I turned slowly toward the window. The street looked empty. Dark. Still, but suddenly it felt crowded with invisible eyes. Another message. I'm always watching. I shut the curtains with shaking hands. Julian stirred. Everything okay? He mumbled. Yes, I lied instantly. Just spam. He wrapped an arm around my waist and drifted back to sleep. I stayed awake until dawn. The next morning, Julian was electric with excitement. The board called, he said, pacing the kitchen. Sebastian wants the final signing done in person. New York, tomorrow night. Tomorrow night. That's fast, I said quietly. It means he's confident. Or eager. I have to fly out for 24 hours, Julian continued. In and out. Once it's signed, we're officially merged. My heart started pounding again. You don't have to go, I said. He stopped pacing. What? Can't it wait? A week? Elena... He laughed gently. This is how high-level deals work. Momentum is everything. I forced myself to breathe. Something feels off. He walked over, brushing hair from my face. You're nervous. That's normal. This is big. I wanted to scream the truth. To grab him and shake him and tell him the man he admired was a predator. But how? How do you explain that 5 years ago? You dated a man who refused to accept rejection? That he once sent you 50 messages in one night? That he showed up outside your dorm at 3 a.m. whispering about destiny? Julian would ask why I never told him, why I buried it. And worse, he might confront Sebastian. And Sebastian would destroy him. My phone buzzed again. Another photo, this time from the side of the house. Me, standing in the kitchen beside Julian. Through the window, taken minutes ago. My knees weakened. You're pale, Julian said. I didn't sleep well. He kissed my forehead. Rest today. I'll handle everything. My phone vibrated once more. Ticking clock. I locked the screen quickly. Julian checked his watch. I need to finalize travel details. He disappeared into his office. I stood alone in the kitchen, sunlight flooding in like nothing was wrong. But something was very wrong. My phone buzzed again. Enjoy your last quiet night. I sank into a chair, my pulse thudding violently. He wasn't bluffing. This wasn't about romance. It was about control. And tomorrow, Julian would be thousands of miles away, leaving me alone. With him. The house felt different the moment Julian left. Not physically. The marble floors were still cold beneath my bare feet. The white orchids still stood tall in their crystal vase near the staircase. The air still carried the faint scent of lemon polish and ocean breeze drifting in from the west. But the silence had weight now. Julian kissed me 3 times, before stepping into the car that would take him to LAX. He held my face gently. 24 hours, he promised. When I come back, everything changes. I forced a smile. Safe flight. I watched the car disappear down the winding street until it became just another moving shadow among the palms. Then I closed the door. The click of the lock echoed too loudly. For a moment, I leaned my forehead against the wood and inhaled deeply. Calm. Just stay calm. You're imagining danger. He's manipulating you. That's all this is. Psychological pressure. I walked to the kitchen and poured myself water. My hands trembled slightly as I lifted the glass. I told myself it was dehydration. Lack of sleep. My phone buzzed. Boarding. I stared at the message. No name, no greeting, just a single word. I didn't respond. I walked through the house, turning on lights, even though it was barely afternoon. I needed brightness. I needed movement. I turned on the television for background noise. A morning talk show filled the room with artificial laughter. Normal. Everything was normal. At least that's what I kept telling myself. At 3:14 p.m., the house went silent. Not quiet, silent. The television screen went black mid-sentence. The soft hum of the refrigerator stopped. Even the faint background vibration of the air conditioning vanished. I froze. A second later, my phone vibrated. Security system offline. My throat went dry instantly. No, I whispered. The house was fully integrated. Cameras, gates, motion sensors, biometric locks. Julian had insisted on it. Los Angeles is beautiful, he'd said, but beauty attracts attention. I ran to the wall panel near the staircase. The screen glowed red. Connection error. Unauthorized override. My pulse began to pound in my ears. Another message appeared on my phone. You always loved smart houses. My breath caught. I backed away slowly from the panel. No, I said again, louder this time. No. The front door lock made a soft mechanical click. Unlocked. I hadn't touched it. I stumbled backward as the handle turned slowly. Deliberately. The door opened. Sebastian stepped inside like he owned the place. He wore a different suit today. Black, immaculate, almost ceremonial. His expression was calm, composed. Behind him, 4 men followed. They weren't dressed like criminals. They looked like executives, clean-cut, expensive watches, polished shoes. That made it worse. This wasn't chaos. This was controlled. The door shut behind them with a heavy final sound. My sanctuary became a cage. "You have excellent security," Sebastian observed casually, glancing at the ceiling cameras. "Impressive encryption." My voice barely worked. "Leave." The 4 men spread out casually through the living room, examining artwork, touching furniture, opening drawers like curious guests. "Relax," Sebastian said softly. "We're not thieves." I took a step back. "What do you want?" He tilted his head. "You." The word echoed in the vast, now powerless house. "You should be in New York," I said, trying to steady my breathing. He smiled faintly. I delegated. One of the men chuckled under his breath. My chest tightened. This wasn't just obsession. This was humiliation. "You brought an audience," I said quietly. Sebastian's eyes sharpened. "You humiliated me once," he said. "Publicly. Do you remember?" Flashback. University auditorium. He had proposed at a fundraising gala. In front of faculty, students, cameras, a diamond ring under stage lights. I had frozen. "I can't," I'd said into the microphone, my voice shaking. "I don't love you." The room had gone silent. Sebastian's face had hardened that night in a way I'd never forgotten. Back in the present, he stepped closer. "You walked away from me," he said, as if I were disposable. "I told you the truth," I whispered. "You embarrassed me." The air felt thinner. One of the men picked up a framed photo of Julian and me from our wedding. "Beautiful couple," he said mockingly. Sebastian's gaze never left mine. "You built a new life," he continued. "New husband, new city, new name in business circles." He took another step closer. "You thought you could erase me." "I didn't want you," I said, forcing the words out despite the tremor in my body. "That's not a crime." "No," he agreed calmly, "but consequences are not crimes either." The 4 men slowly shifted, forming a loose half-circle behind me. "Not touching, just closing space." My heartbeat thundered. "You're making a mistake," I said, scanning for exits. The back door, the staircase, my phone. Sebastian noticed. "There's no signal," he said softly. "The system is isolated." Panic rose like ice water in my veins. "This is revenge?" I asked. "It's education," he corrected. He gestured around the house. "You see this? This illusion of safety? It exists because I allow it." I felt anger pierce through fear. "You don't control everything." He smiled faintly. "Don't I?" One of the men casually unplugged a lamp and let it fall to the ground. The bulb shattered with a sharp crack. I flinched. The sound echoed violently in the silent house. Sebastian leaned closer. "You thought you could reject me and thrive," he whispered. "You thought there would be no cost." "You're insane," I breathed. "No," he said calmly. "I'm thorough." The men began moving through the house, not destroying it wildly, but deliberately, opening cabinets, scattering papers, pulling cushions off sofas. One dragged a chair across the marble floor, the screeching sound unbearable. They weren't robbing. They were violating. This was psychological. "You can't undo what's already done," I said, forcing strength into my voice. "I'm married. I chose my life." Sebastian's jaw tightened. "You chose wrong." The men's laughter filled the room, low and unsettling. I realized then what this was. Not just revenge. Dominance. He wanted to see me small, cornered, afraid. My back hit the kitchen counter. There was nowhere else to step. Sebastian stood inches away now. "You could have ruled beside me," he said quietly. "Instead, you married potential." His eyes flickered briefly with something almost like contempt. "Julian is not your equal." "Don't!" I snapped suddenly. "Don't talk about him." The sudden strength in my voice startled even me. Sebastian paused. For a moment, something dark flashed in his eyes. "You still defend him," he murmured. "He loves me." The words came out raw. A silence fell over the room. Then Sebastian laughed softly. "Love." He stepped back, shaking his head. "You still believe that matters." One of the men walked toward the staircase, glancing upward. "Nice bedroom." Rage surged through me. "Don't you dare," I said sharply. Sebastian raised a hand and the man stopped. He turned back to me. "You're afraid," he observed. "Yes," I said, refusing to hide it. "But not of you." A lie, but I needed him to see steel. He studied me carefully. "You haven't changed," he said finally, still defiant. He looked around once more at the disordered room. "This is just the beginning." My stomach dropped. "You have until tomorrow," he said calmly. "When Julian lands and signs, everything becomes permanent." He stepped closer again, lowering his voice. "If you want to protect him, you will meet me, alone." I felt like the air had been sucked from my lungs. "And if I don't?" His gaze turned cold. "Then I remove him from the board, from the market, from relevance." A pause. "And I come back." The threat hung between us like smoke. One of the men glanced at his watch. Sebastian straightened his cuffs. "We should leave." Just like that. No screaming. No physical chaos. Just devastation. The men walked out slowly, brushing past me deliberately close. Close enough to feel their presence. Close enough to make my skin crawl. Sebastian lingered at the doorway. "You should have said yes," he said softly. Then he stepped out. The door shut, and the house was silent again. But it wasn't my house anymore. I sank to the floor, shaking violently. Not because they touched me, but because they didn't need to. They had shown me something far worse. They could enter any time. They could dismantle my life piece by piece. And tomorrow, Julian would sign everything away. I looked around at the scattered cushions, broken glass, the hollow quiet. The siege had begun, and I was alone inside it. I didn't cry. That surprised me the most. After the door closed and their footsteps faded into the distance, I stayed on the kitchen floor, knees pulled to my chest, listening to the silence. My body was shaking violently, but my mind was sharpening. Fear has two forms. The first paralyzes you. The second wakes you up. I pushed myself up slowly, stepping over broken glass. My reflection stared back at me in the dark microwave screen. Hair slightly disheveled, eyes wide, breathing uneven. They can enter any time. That's what he wanted me to believe. But Sebastian had made a mistake. He thought I was still the girl from university, the one overwhelmed by his intensity, the one who packed a suitcase and ran. I wasn't that girl anymore. I walked to the wall panel again. The security system still flashed red. Unauthorized override. Sebastian had accessed the main grid. That meant he had admin-level override. Credentials, probably obtained through the merger's corporate integration team. But this house had something Julian didn't even know about. When we first moved in, I insisted on a secondary layer, a manual hardware partition, a ghost system. The technician had called it completely separate from the primary network, hidden, offline, analog triggered. Julian thought it was excessive. I thought it was necessary. My hands were steady now. I walked to the hallway closet, pushed aside winter coats, and reached behind the paneling. My fingers found the concealed latch. Click, a smaller interface lit up in faint blue. Independent circuit active. The cameras weren't dead. They were redirected. They had watched everything. My breath slowed. "You wanted leverage," I whispered. "So do I." At 6:42 p.m., my phone vibrated. Unknown number. Ready to comply? I didn't answer. Instead, I pressed record. I opened my voice memo app and placed the phone face down on the kitchen counter. Then I typed, "Come alone." The reply came almost instantly. "You don't give instructions." I inhaled slowly. "If you come back with them, I release everything." A pause. 3 dots appeared. Interesting. 10 minutes later, the front gate sensor triggered. This time I was ready. The ghost system sent a silent alert to my hidden panel. Sebastian stepped through the door again. Alone. His expression was curious, amused. "You surprise me," he said smoothly, closing the door behind him. I stayed in the center of the living room, shoulders squared. "You underestimated me," I replied. His eyes darkened slightly. "I rarely do. You assumed I was still afraid of being embarrassed." He tilted his head. "Aren't you?" I walked slowly toward the wall. "I was," I admitted. 5 years ago." I tapped the hidden switch behind a decorative panel. Upstairs doors locked automatically, internal partitions sealed. Sebastian heard the mechanisms engage. His gaze sharpened instantly. "What did you just do?" I smiled faintly. "You're not the only one who understands control." The main living room doors, sealed with reinforced bolts, installed, for earthquake safety. Repurposed now, Sebastian moved toward the exit. Locked. His calm cracked just slightly. "Elena," he said quietly, "be careful." I stepped back toward the staircase. "Everything you said yesterday was recorded." A flicker of real tension crossed his face. You're bluffing. I picked up my phone and pressed play. His own voice filled the room. I bought his company because of you. You will spend time with me. One whisper from me and investors scatter. The color drained from his face. That's illegal, he said sharply. So is coercion. So is stalking. So is breaking into my home. His jaw tightened. You think this saves you? No, I said calmly. It saves Julian. I pressed another button. The ghost system sent an automatic alert. I had pre-programmed 20 minutes earlier. Local police dispatch. Priority intrusion alert. Sebastian lunged forward. I stepped back instantly and triggered the secondary lock. Metal shutters dropped over the windows with a heavy slam. The room transformed into a containment chamber. You arrogant, he began. Sirens echoed faintly in the distance. Not imagined, real. His composure fractured completely. You have no idea what you're doing, he hissed. Oh, I do, I said. You ruin me, you ruin yourselves. No, I replied softly. You did that. He looked around wildly, calculating escape options. There were none. Within minutes, flashing red and blue lights painted the shutters. Heavy knocks pounded against the door. LAPD, open up! I disengaged the locks. Officers rushed in, weapons drawn. Sebastian stepped back, fury and disbelief colliding in his expression. This is a misunderstanding, he began smoothly, mask sliding back into place. I held up my phone. I have recordings, messages, photos taken from outside my bedroom. An officer took the device. Sebastian's eyes locked onto mine one final time. This wasn't over, that look said. But it was, because power only works in silence, and I was done being silent. Julian landed early. I didn't know he'd cut the trip short until I heard his voice at the doorway. Elena? The house was chaos, officers moving, statements being taken, shattered glass still on the floor. Julian's face drained of color. What happened? I walked toward him slowly, and for the first time I told him everything. New York, university, the proposal, the obsession, the threats, the messages. His face shifted from confusion to horror to something deeper, guilt. I brought him here, he whispered. No, I said firmly. He followed. Sebastian was escorted out in handcuffs. He didn't fight, but his empire already was. Within 48 hours, the recordings were no longer private. The board received them first, then investors, then media. The narrative was undeniable. A CEO leveraging corporate power to stalk and coerce a woman he once dated. It wasn't just scandal, it was criminal. His associates distanced themselves instantly. Stocks plummeted. Interim leadership announced an internal investigation. The same men who once laughed in my living room released statements condemning unethical personal conduct. Sebastian's empire cracked under its own corruption, not because of revenge, because of exposure. Julian sat beside me during the press conference. He didn't speak over me. He didn't shield me. He stood with me. This is not just about one man, I said into the microphones. My voice was steady now. It's about understanding how obsession disguises itself as power. Cameras flashed. Predators like Sebastian don't always scream, I continued. They don't always break doors down violently. Sometimes they buy companies. Sometimes they smile at dinner tables. The room was silent. They rely on silence, on shame, on the belief that you'll protect your image instead of your safety. Julian squeezed my hand gently, and that ends here. The house felt like ours again weeks later. The broken glass replaced. The security system upgraded. Triple partition now. But something inside me had shifted permanently. Strength doesn't arrive loudly. It builds quietly under pressure. One evening, Julian stood beside me on the balcony, the same place I once feared unseen eyes. You saved us, he said softly. No, I replied. I refuse to be controlled. He turned toward me. I should have known. You trusted him professionally, I said. That's not a crime. Silence settled between us, peaceful this time. I almost didn't tell you, I admitted. He looked at me carefully. Why? Because I didn't want to destroy your dream. He stepped closer. You are not the obstacle to my success, he said firmly. You are the reason for it. For the first time in days, my chest felt light. Sebastian was indicted within months. Coercion, stalking, corporate misconduct. His legal team tried to discredit me. They failed. Because evidence doesn't panic. Evidence speaks. And I had learned something critical. Obsession feeds on isolation. The moment you expose it, it shrinks. If you're listening to my story, understand this. Danger doesn't always look violent. Sometimes it looks successful. Sometimes it wears a tailored suit. Sometimes it buys your husband's company just to stand in your living room again. Trust your instincts. Install the second lock. Keep the recording. Tell someone, silence is the oxygen predators breathe. Remove it, and they suffocate. Los Angeles still glows outside our windows. The marble floors still reflect morning sunlight. But now, when I look at my reflection, I don't just see grace. I see resilience. Sebastian wanted revenge for a bruised ego. Instead, he exposed his own fragility. And I learned something far more powerful than fear. I learned that survival isn't running away. It's standing still long enough to turn the trap around.